And now let's change again, and once again, our viewpoint, and change the topic quite dramatically and drastically. So what do you think about digitalization, Marco?
Me? Oh. Sometimes I think it's useful, and then I think it's useless. But let me tell you a story about my neighbor, my ex-neighbor. It was Hans. Hans, an retired physics professor. He started to hammering and banging in his flat, and it's coming out clouds of smoke out of his house. And I was worried what happened to Hans. And I went to his door and knocked at his door. It's like, Hans, is everything okay? And he said, you wouldn't understand. So, Hans, what are you doing? You wouldn't understand. I'm building the ultimate machine. Hans, what can this machine do? You wouldn't understand. It's about artificial intelligence. And then that was the point when we started to argue, because I said, Hans, artificial intelligence is made by human beings, and human beings sometimes are a little bit stupid, and it can be that great, this artificial intelligence. And he started to swear and to twitch. And I thought, I would like to play a song, and swearing and twitching myself. I will do this later. So one day we went for a walk in Zurich by the lake, and we saw a large moving machine-like sculpture made by the Swiss sculptor and kinetic artist Jean Tenkely. You know Jean Tenkely?
Not yet.
It's a big name in Switzerland, Jean Tenkely. And we looked at this machine, and this machine was loud and made noise too, and then the machine stopped. And then we looked at this machine, and I said to Hans, you know, Hans, that's intelligent for me, something that grows, lives, but then it dies. And that was the point where we restart to swear and twitch. And then we looked at this machine, and I said, you know, Hans, weißt Hans? De Jean Tenkely, de Jean Tenkely, de Jean Tenkely, think a little. It's hard to translate it in English. I will play this song. It's a crazy song.
So be prepared.
In una boccettina verde di vetro, due polverine rosse e nere in un liquido speciale, fottersi del teschio sul retro. Manca spremere due gocce di cervello nella provetta, farle incollare dal naso clonale nel vaso, centrifugandole nella mia navetta. Tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli. Una cellula di tipo cerebrale, con il tablet ben connesso del professor Progresso, balla sull'altare digitale. Forse inventeremo un elettrodomestico intelligente per essere presenti anche in luoghi lontani e per sparare senza usare le mani. Tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli, tenga cli.
Many ways you can have a look at that ladder. At least I managed.
What were you doing with this?
Yeah, I thought if you play the music and I try to be creative and see what I can do with it.
Trying to build up the future.
At least this is what I managed. So
okay.
First little step is done. Okay, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen watching us, let's now move to the next session, to the next topic. And this is the occasion where I would like to introduce to you to Jana Habjan. She joined our team in the Joint Secretariat in July of this year. She is a person that loves to travel around and learn new languages. And she says a good day should start with a good cup of coffee. And Jana is our information hub in the team. So she is able to collect information very quickly from different strands and a central information node, I would say. And she says digital literacy and education are key for the development of modern society. So I think, Jana, the topic we tackle now really fits to you, and I hand over to you. The screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Christina and Marco. In this third Going Green session, we will discover the priority 3 of the new program, the innovation and digitalization supporting a green alpine space. This topic is in constant evolution and challenged by concrete requests and needs by the end user. Therefore, we will take a look at 2 projects from the current period and that are running until June 2022. Which challenges are they tackling and the objectives in the broad European motivation behind? The first project will be presented by Daniela Gamper, project manager and lead partner of the project LinkingAlps, which develops novel technological approaches to establish a fully distributed route planning service throughout the Alpine space. Daniela is an expert for digital transport infrastructure and team leader of the team trends and technology at the General Agency of Technopolitical Measures Austria Tech. In this role, she focused on one side on the development of Europe-wide integrated multimodal mobility services, which are based on the linking of services concept, as well as the involvement of cooperative intelligent transport system and services development. I believe I can give the floor already to Daniela.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to present LinkingAlps at this event. Well, in LinkingAlps, we took on the challenge to make low carbon, low emission mobility easy, accessible and attractive for travelers, so we can trigger a shift of mobility behavior. We focus in LinkingAlps on making transnational routings for public transport across the Alpine space available for travelers. The project started in 2019 and it goes until summer 2022. So we are, well, quite advanced with the project. We have 14 project partners from 6 countries, and we have 6 existing travel information or journey planners working together on developing a new technical, but also a new organizational solution. You can see here our consortium, a quick overview. We are a quite strong consortium. We have from Austria as travel information service provider, VAO. We have strong support from Switzerland with SBB, also Slovenia, and 3 partners from Italy with SDA from South Tyrol, and 2 partners, one from Lombardy and one from Piemonte. But you also can see that we have regional and national transport authorities and agencies involved, also from Switzerland and from Austria. So we do not only look into developing new technical tools, digitalization tools, but we also look what does that mean for policies? What does this mean for a wider stakeholder range of stakeholders? And we also are very strong with research and consultancy in our project. We have strong support from many partners from all over the Alpine space, also for research. So what is the scope of LinkingAlps? As I said before, we want to foster the shift from motorized individual transport towards low carbon transport. And we want to do that by exploiting way better public transport. So this means we want to make so attractive solutions for travelers that they stop using their cars and use public transport for going across the Alpine space. The easy access to high quality travel information data. This is our approach, how we want to trigger the shift. We need to have door-to-door information and door-to-door service for travelers, which it doesn't matter the borders, the operators. So across borders, across operators, across travel modes. We want to provide seamless travel chain, which goes beyond the own region of the traveler. The current state, it's not possible. At the current state, a traveler, if a traveler wants to go across borders from one country via a second country to a third, he has to inquire the route by each individual journey planning service. It's not possible to link routings currently. And this is what we do in LinkingAlps. We develop a back-end solution, so a technical solution to link journey planning systems. So the traveler has not to bother anymore with routing requests, putting themselves together, but the traveler is asking one journey service provider for the route across the Alpine space and is getting one result. This is one of our motivators. So far, it's not possible. Seamless journey planning is not possible across the Alpine space, across the European Union, actually. Every travel information provider is working still isolated, focused on their own territory, on their own region. And no door-to-door routing is therefore possible for the traveler. But the second motivator, what we had is the delegated regulation for intelligent transport systems, especially for the provision of EU-wide multimodal travel information services, where we talk about linking of services. So the linkage of existing services. This delegate regulation was a breakthrough that we even developed an own technical standard, a SENS standard, for open journey planning. This is, you can see on the right side of the presentation. As you know, that the regulation for intelligent transport systems is currently under revision, and the concept of linking of services is getting way more priority in the new revised delegate regulation. So therefore, our work in LinkingAlps has even more mandate, is even more important. And we also have a third motivator, that currently mobility service systems are dominated by platforms, dominated by centralized organizational architectures. This means that you have a platform, but if you want to participate in this mobility service, you need to integrate your data. So you have to give your data to the platform. What happens if you do that? You lose the sovereignty of your data very often. And the linking of services approach is not doing that, because you just link, you do not share, you do not give your data away. And this platform-driven landscape is very much dominated by third parties. But we believe that we have well-developed existing services, journey planning services, and we should really use what we have there and do not create more apps, more platforms, more solutions, but use what's there and make these services really good and really useful for the traveler. So the objective of LinkingAlps is definitely to prepare an operational LinkingAlps journey planning service, which is going between Switzerland, Austria, Italy, and Slovenia at this project state. For that, we had to develop a novel technical solution. We also need to develop an organizational architecture to fit this novel technical solution. And it's also very, very important to focus at the transferability and scalability of that solution. The objectives and outputs of LinkingAlps are quite also divided in the technical, organizational, and outreach activities. For the technical solution, I said already, we need a fully distributed architecture. This is the opposite to a centrally distributed, to platform architectures. So in LinkingAlps, many journey planning services are working together. They are interlinked, but there is no central unit where anybody has to share their data. So everybody in LinkingAlps is 100% sovereign over the data. And we also developed the OGP profile, which is necessary for a standardized interface so we can interlink. And we also can use that for an EU-wide OGP profile. So this was the first step for EU-wide profile. And now we are also integrating the LinkingAlps service in existing route planners. For example, here you see a demo version of the first operational trials we had, of the tests we had, and this was prepared by SPP. The organization of objectives, as I said, we developed a completely new technical architecture, which was never done before. So we also need to develop new organization architectures. We need to develop organization processes which fit this novel technical architecture. And also, obviously, we need to have a collaboration structure since we want to be an operational service after that. A business model, we need to see which business model fits. Is any business model which is out there suitable for our approach for a fully distributed system? And this is what we are doing in this project and where we are right now. But we also prepare a framework strategy for the aligned and harmonized OGP deployment within whole Europe. So going beyond the Alpine Space, going beyond just the LinkingAlps project. And obviously transferability and outreach. What we develop is novel. What we develop, we believe that this is helpful for many, many stakeholders, not just the journey planning services, but many other policymakers, many other future adopters. Therefore, it's highly important for us to prepare well-designed information material. You can see, for example, the decision support handbook, where we have all information in. So everybody who is interested can look through, can see if it's suitable for them. For example, for journey planning services, is it suitable, what it takes to join LinkingAlps, the linking of the journey planning services. But obviously raising citizen awareness is even more important because we want to trigger a mobility behavior shift of citizens, of our travelers. And therefore it's even more important to get the message out there. What we have done, this back-end solution, which not really out there and which it's quite complicated to communicate what we have done, but it's so important to get the message out to the citizen as well. And therefore, transfer of linking of services overall, again, is going beyond the LinkingAlps and beyond the Alpine Space actually, and linking of services, what it means also to support the delegate regulation for future adopters. This is just a quick look on the work plan, so you can see we are quite advanced. And we are quite in the finishing lines of LinkingAlps. This means we have the technical architectures and so on already, and we are currently in the implementation phase of the fully distributed system. And at the same time, we are also looking beyond the Alpine Space and try to interconnect with other European journey planning services. From the organization side, as I said, our challenge now is to find a right collaboration structure. And we also decided to need a test phase after the project period. Again, outreach and transfer of knowledge is very, very important. And this is just to exemplify that the beginning, the technical organizational testing, the collaboration structure, which you can see on the beginning of this slide, is just the starting point. And this is what the project was about. But the journey just begins. We go then, after the project ends, in a test phase to make a resilient service. If we go into operation, it has to be resilient. It has to be tested. It has the technical side, but also the collaboration has to be really ready for operation. And after the test phase, we go into full operation. And from there, we start exploring this whole topic. We have to scale up. We have to scale down. What does that mean? The scaling up means that we need to see a Europe-wide linkage of journey planning services, And scaling down means that we need to explore the capabilities of this linking of services on the downscale for rural areas, for cities, for regions. How can we support these areas with our linking of services approach? But we also need to expand with journey planning networks, with other OGP networks. And we also need to expand the features and modalities. So in LinkingAlps, we are focusing on public transport. We have a sister project in the Danube region where we also integrate bike routings, but this is only the beginning. We have proposals to also integrate sharing, for example, so combine public transport with sharing, with bike routing. And this can be done via the linking of services approach via fully distributed architectures, but we have to explore how that works. So our vision is, as you can see here, to interlink whole Europe, the journey planning services of whole Europe. And we are now 3 projects and 3 organizations working together on this vision. Just to sum up quickly, why are we doing this? Why linking of services, and why is LinkingAlps so interesting? First of all, for the traveler, we develop a simplified access to make public transport across borders, across the Alpine space more attractive. The traveler can use a well-known app he always has already on his app, on his smartphone, and is in his language. And the information is to the highest quality and accuracy of the routings, because we are not using a platform which has to be updated regularly, but we are working with the live systems which are interlinked and always send the most actual information. And we also can include local transport and on-demand transport services. For the service provider, it means they stay 100% sovereign over their data, because we are no platform, we are just linking systems. And the extension of the range of the own system is automatically expanded by the coverage of all other affiliated systems. Therefore, you improve the functionalities, but also the quality of information, and strengthen your market position. And for the overall mobility system, our approach means that we support a shift towards a more sustainable mobility behavior. We strengthen also the market position of small scale or regional providers or regions. And we really have to explore how to do that and what does that mean. But we also want to strengthen accessibility and connectivity of rural areas, for example. And for example, first mile issues, they can be tackled with our linking of services approach. So this was just a very brief overview of our LinkingAlps project. I'm really happy to give you more detailed information. Thank you for your attention, and contact me at any time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Daniela, for this very interesting presentation of the project. It's very, it's amazing how an Interreg project can be so innovative and technological developed. Actually, it's following the timing of the development itself. So before we are going to know more about the priority 3 and what is coming next for the next period, I welcome my second speaker and presenting our second project, ARDIA-Net, which is developing an Alpine Space research, development and innovation area by lowering barriers for cross-regional cooperation. I am now welcoming Sergi Costa, who is an agricultural engineer and a senior project manager in the bioeconomy team at BioPro. And as I understood, you're involved in many projects, not only in Alpine Space, but also the Danube region in circular bioeconomy, governance, and innovation. Sergi, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Sergi, I believe you have to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Typical problem. Thank you, Jana, for the introduction, and also thank you to the Joint Secretary for making this event happen. As mentioned by Jana, this project, it's a bit different to the previous one, but I think that shares some also this kind of macro-regional ambition. This is about ARDIA-Net, about lowering barriers for cross-regional RDI cooperation. Then how started our journey? Our journey started around 2 years ago. Our consortium members, all of us, knew about the existence of these smart specialization strategies in the Alpine region. They knew quite well also the regional RDI funding programs there. For instance, here an example of Land Salzburg. And they even knew also the national programs in the case of Slovenia. But what we wanted is to support a step further and to go to the right-hand side of this slide, is taking inspiration in previous programs like this one, Baltic Sea Region Innovation Express. Our ambition was to create something like a kind of cross-regional, even a cross-macro-regional synchronized funding regime. And we took 2 topics as, I would say, key strategic topics in our macro region. That is namely circular bioeconomy and health economy, in order to try to support programs and calls, and of course, at the end, projects in these two topics. One of the first things we did at the beginning of the project was just to see among these 2 topics, which subtopics were very relevant according to the smart specialization strategies of our regions. You have the regions here listed on the right-hand side, but also related to the, I would say, the patents and employees numbers and even regional programs that were related to these topics. And we find out, for instance, that bioplastics or biopharma, or I would say it here, phytopharma, could be very relevant to be topics in a synchronized funding program. And one of the things that was known for us was this existing gap. You see here a graphic from 2019 with several EU-funded programs. Well, the Interreg, the all Interreg France, also the Horizon 2020, the COSME program, and also the ARDIA-Net. And what was clear is that was something missing here at the top right side. That means like a kind of funding programs that involve several regions, and also that they are the scope and the focus of these funding programs are like really answering the needs of this region. So like a kind of synchronized funding programs for different regions in our macro region. So luckily in our consortium, we have very skilled and experienced partners. They were already involved in some relevant projects like the History for Alp clusters and Uplink Bioeco recently. So we didn't start from zero, I would say. We had already the experience. And what has been also clear to us is during the project is that we really want to contribute to the priority 4 of the program, the well-governed Alpine region, but also to some of the priority areas or specific objectives of the strategy. So what happened during this journey, during these 2 years, is that our regions, our partners, we have several multiple bilateral meetings with program owners, and we discovered things that we already knew. For instance, there is a general belief that, for instance, cross-regional cooperation is not that easy. For instance, recurrent opinions that we found, it does, for instance, there might be issues with the legal framework or maybe about the timely planning of these synchronized programs. But on the other hand, we also found interested regions in trying to synchronize approach. But normally the key question was, how can I make it effectively work? So in that sense, ARDIA-Net has already prepared, tried to give some answers and support to these recurring opinions. And one of them is this Alps Connect scheme. Here you see the picture. From the left-hand side, we see less ambitious. From the right-hand side, the most ambitious option. What it's clear is that this is a kind of based on a need-based approach. That means that, for instance, we can go from the easy option like cooperation between single projects. That means that the submission of these projects, let's gonna put an example, to regions, to interested, I would say, projects there, but they present the project to their funding authorities or in a separate way. Also, the funding programs that they will support this project between these two regions are independent and the evaluation is independent. On the third option, to go to the highest ambition, we have a joint synchronized call where there is a submission that is coordinated through a coordination office. We have synchronization of independent funding programs, and we have also dependent evaluation. So our work here, you can see the 8 partners, most of them are business support organizations of our consortia. Our work through this journey has been to give support to these program owners. How we have done it, actually we have tried to be active, as you can see in the figure on the right-hand side, at the calls level. And that means that we have been, we have worked on the basis of, I would say, 3 credos. One is that no new funding programs have to be established. That means that existing funding programs can be synchronized. Then also no new legal frameworks have to be developed, only just some administrative changes in the third option that I presented before. And then also very important issues for the program owners is that there is no transfer of funds across the borders. So after 2 years work, the outreach you can find here in this slide, we have engaged or at least reached at least 16 regional, mainly regional, but also national and some fewer, but some local public authorities. We have, I would say, 20 business support organizations or regional agencies on board, more than 10 capacity building activities, even 6 regional living labs, and 1 pilot call scoping through macro regions, where I will give you more detail in the last 2 slides. We have a policy forum in preparation that will be held next week. So putting things into practice was, I think, one of the aims of our consortium. We have here a very good example, probably a success story. This is 4 regions cooperating in the field of RDI. 3 of them belonging to the Alpine region, to name them Baden-Württemberg, Canton of Fribourg, and Land of Salzburg. But we have also a region in the Baltic Sea region that is Brandenburg, and it's called Innovation Express. This pilot corp is for real. It has been, was open during June, and I mean, some applications were received, and now the evaluation is still ongoing. The topics were aligned with our scope in the project, but also with the EU Green Deal. That means artificial intelligence in healthcare application, but also digital solutions in sustainable industry. And last but not least, I would like to give the floor to Judit Schrick, that she's working in the Ministry for Economic Affairs in Baden-Württemberg, and she was one of the initiators of this pilot call. And I think also that she she's coordinator of the priority area 8 of the Danube region. So I think that she can also bring this ambition at macro-regional level, and in this case also at cross-macro-regional level. So I would like to thank you for the attention, and then I give the floor to Judith.
Hi, my name is Judit Schrick-Szenczi. I'm working for the Ministry of Economy, Labour and Tourism Baden-Württemberg, and I'm responsible for the coordination of the Priority Area 8 of the Danube Region Strategy. We as key actors of the macro-regional strategy trying to cooperate not only with stakeholders coming from our own region, but also try to foster the cross-macro-regional cooperation. Especially in case of topics like creation of joint funding frameworks, which is one of the aims of the ARDIA-Net project, an exchange with stakeholders coming from all over Europe is necessary. The project ARDIA-Net aims to develop a multi-level, multinational, coherent RDI area for the Alpine Space. This is the reason why we decided to work together with partners of ARDIA-Net when we started negotiations on a future synchronized call with the involvement of all macro regions. Today, we are happy to announce that we managed to launch the first macro-regional call, pilot call in May 2021, with the inclusion of 4 regions, Brandenburg, Baden-Württemberg, Salzburg, and the Canton Fribourg from Switzerland. This was a huge achievement and a very important step for the concerned regions. Acting as pioneers, they could show how independent funding schemes can be harmonized and synchronized at the end. The exercise was very easy. Each partner region applied its own rules. The funding came from existing programs, but the focus of the call, the activities to be supported, the launching date of the call, as well as the duration of the projects were jointly decided by the funding partners. The regions had the possibility to include national, regional, or even EU funds when we were talking about the call. And we are very grateful because the Interreg Alpine Space program helped us to come closer to our goals, and through its support towards the project ARDIA-Net enabled us to manage the call from administrative and content point of view. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you very much for this testimonial. And now I will invite our last speaker, Mr. Riccardo Celi, who is part of also our program committee and officer at the Department of Cohesion Policies of the Presidency of the Council of Ministers, Italian national authority in charge of coordination of cohesion policies and macro-regional strategies. And he will present us for old and new participants what is a priority 3 in the new program all about. So thank you very much, Riccardo. Can you tell us what to expect in the new program?
I hope, Jana. Thank you very much. And thank you also to Sergi and Daniela. I guess that they have provided a very significant picture of what could be the contribution, what kind of smart solution we can actually support to, let's say, promote territorial integration and tackle regional challenges in a variety of different sectors. And I would also like to stress that it was very in line also with the priorities defined and identified at the OISALP level. I'll try to be a bit quick since it's already the 3rd slide, and I've seen that the number of clinking beers and unicorns is quite increasing in the chat. So let's go. So you were probably wondering what's next. I'll jump a bit, and I would like to just basically to recall the context that we, let's say, started while we started the programming. Now, I'll just recall some data, the context extracted by the from the Regional Innovation Scoreboard, the most updated version from ESPON tool on macro-regional strategies, and also from ALPS 2050 targeted analysis, always of ESPON, just to show that there is, in general, just to stress some territorial dynamics. I mean, I'll send you all the link to this data, but just to quick jump to the point, just to highlight some territorial challenges. So basically, despite this good overall economic performance of the Alpine regions, we can identify some trends and actually a north-south divide, and also urban-rural gaps. Data on employment change, GDP per capita show an increasing spatial and economic polarization, which we have to tackle. Accessibility, aging, and the populations, let's say, are very challenging for the provision of services of general interest. And let's say also data on patent application per inhabitants show that different regions are face limitation relating to inter-alpine research and innovation cooperation. So let's dive in this, let's say, text cascade. I will be very quick, but this is actually the types of action that we have identified within the specific objectives on research and innovation capacity. So basically, we'll as for, let's say, the joint solutions and activities, we will support innovation ecosystems building on the natural and cultural heritage, support innovative value chains, find solution for social innovation, eco-innovation, and green economy. Then we aim to, let's say, promote and to tackle the innovation gap in non-urban areas. So also establishing links, urban-rural or rural-rural, supporting cluster and innovation hubs cooperation, also and support value chains relevant for smart specialization strategies, experimental models and green startups, reduce territorial imbalances and mitigate social and environmental impacts, promote social innovation to services of general interest in several fields, mobility, health, sustainable tourism, promote skills for innovation capacities and green and digital transition. As for networking activities, of course, this will be mainly targeted toward the connection of regional innovation ecosystems, but also to promote the exchange of practices on social and process innovation. And of course, there will be the very important axis of coordination with the other policy domains. As for digitalization types of actions, even pilot projects and solutions and activities, here also use digitalization for a just transition to promote the provision of flexible services of general interest provision in several domains, smart health, for example, e-government, but also e-learning solution, new working structures for smart working. But then there will be also, of course, the support to business development opportunities and to the development of products and services. And of course, with a view on value chains, of course. And then very important is the elaboration and implementation, I would say also the capitalization of smart villages and smart cities concept. And of course, the, let's say, support to SMEs and associations to, let's say, face and to promote digital transformation. Coordination with other policy domains will focus on the, let's say, solution to mitigate the digitalization-related security risks, and also to close the digital divide between regions and between different categories of users. Networking activities will promote, for example, a very important initiative as digital innovation apps. And then there will be the point of the common data collection, indicators, and monitoring system that also has been raised in the previous session. Just moving forward, the target is very wide. I guess that most of you can basically fit in one of these typologies. For the sake of speed, I will jump, but I would say that they are pretty the same. There are some categories in the digitalization which are additional categories, but it's a pretty wide, relevant but wide target audience. Resources. Very quickly, you can see that here you'll find the allocation to this priority 3. and also to the program. On the left, you just recap this allocation. And you can see that there is a wide, let's say, thematic concentration in the program. This is particularly visible in the second visualization, where I've used this climate resilient and green, so the first priority as 100%, and I just compared this allocation of the other priorities. So you can see that there is this funnel, and basically you can jump to the next slide. Well, some consideration. So the innovation that we are, the approach to innovation that we are adopting, of course, as you have seen in the types of actions. So basically, innovation is embedded within the overarching strategies of a greening strategy. But of course, it has a cross-cutting multi-sectoral contribution to several societal, economic development and several societal challenges. Well, social versus technological. This is indeed, these are two complementary concepts. There has been a more explicit focus on social innovation, a fuzzy concept, but let's say to resume it and to simplify it, innovation for and with society. There's a clear reference to the pillar of territorial agenda of Just Europe. So basically, economic development is inserted within an integrated approach to inequalities between places and between people. And of course, this is not a new concept. There have already been some experiences in 1420, as is in Tesi, Smart Villages, Consenso, Plurals. And this is not an exhaustive list, of course. And I would like to stress that technological innovation and SMEs cooperation is still a relevant territorial challenge, also considering the North-South divide that I was mentioning before. Then the positioning of Alpine Space, also versus other instruments. Of course, these challenges are well beyond Interreg, and as we all know, Alpine Space should be focused on this transnational cooperation added value, on the Interreg soft specific results, and also on the adoption of a cooperative and integrated approach to these Alpine territorial geographic specificities. There is a challenge to how coordinate programs and different instruments at USALP level. Last but not least, results, strategic focus and capitalization. There it's important in this programming period to pay particular attention to linking results to policies. And for this, it's very important to promote relevant and effective partnerships. Regarding USALP embedding, as you may see, there are several types of actions already reflect USALP priorities, which is very positive from our point of view. The simplification measures will reduce the administrative burden for beneficiaries. So we hope that this will facilitate the focus on results. Also, regarding capitalization, small-scale projects, this new project typology will allow, on one side, to involve new stakeholders, newcomers, but also to promote this, setting the scene on very innovative approaches, but also capitalizing on results, not only from 1420, but not only from the program. There will be a stronger focus on communication, which you should not underestimate. And then regarding the synergies and complementarity at projects and the inter-projects cooperation and thematic exchange. As you may remember, after the reality checks, we've opted as the task force to not add other thematic communities or horizontal projects. There is a challenge to define how these kind of exchanges could be promoted, capitalizing on USALP formal and informal structures and communities. And this is a challenge for example, that we'll consider, we take into due account for example, for next year presidency, Italian presidency of the strategies in 2022. I would like to conclude, and I will just say that, of course, right now, the talk is over, and now it's your turn. I mean, of course, as we know, ideas shape our future, but this is not enough. For an efficient and effective implementation, we need your competencies, your skills, and of course, we hope that the first step is to receive, if the next programming committee will receive, let's say, application with a strong strategic orientation, with relevant partnerships, with a focus on results orientation. I think that this will be a very relevant step to promote, let's say, a smarter, but also more just and balanced as an Alpine region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. You concluded so nicely that I don't dare to say anything else more. I will say that more information about how to shape your project and all the other insights will be available tomorrow in our sessions of the second day regarding different types of project. You can also read a lot on our brand new website in our program manual. And I will thank you very much all the speakers in this session, and I will give back the floor to the moderators.
Thank you very much, Jana and the colleagues, for the impressions you gave us on the projects that we have been funding and also on the future.